This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino. A meal isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about what you bring to the table. San Pellegrino believes the table is where the best of life happens. That's what makes gathering around it so rich and rewarding. And with their unique sparkling natural mineral water, San Pellegrino brings its best so you can bring yours.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. New York City is said to be reviewing 750 more sites to possibly house migrants coming to the Big Apple, as it is costing the city, get this, an estimated $8 million a day to house and feed the tens of thousands of asylum seekers coming here just within the last year alone. And joining us now to discuss this overwhelming issue is New York City Democratic Councilman Robert Holden, who represents the 30th District in Queens, New York. Councilman, great to have you here. Great to be here, Rita. What's your reaction? 750 more possible sites to house migrants.
That's unbelievable. We have to take in the world here in New York City. That's impossible. This is, again, 750 ways to destroy a city is to take in the world's poor. And we can't do that. We just can't keep going on. And a taxpayer funded program that we see in place thanks to President Biden is killing us here in New York City.
How can New York City handle it? Just as you said, when we talk about the price tag of $8 million a day, how can any city sustain that, let alone New York City?
No, we can't sustain it. And again, it'll fall on the taxpayers. So we're already the most heavily taxed city in the nation. And now you're going to pile this on. It's going to cost actually billions, $4.2 billion, the last I checked with the mayor, to in the out years on this. So it's going to keep costing us. Plus, these are able-bodied people. Most of them are men, by the way, single men, who are coming here to work, but they won't be able to work for at least 13 months, because that's how far the federal government is behind in processing their asylum applications. And most of them, by the way, Rita, are not even eligible for asylum. They're coming here just to make money, and they have to prove their case. But again, they won't come before anybody for about 13, 14 months.
And that seems even, by the way, a short estimate. I've even seen reports where it's years. I mean, how can any country be a secure country with that kind of timetable?
No, we can't. We're a sovereign nation. We have to stop this. Again, I told the mayor, we just send the buses away, send them back to where they came, or send them to Washington. We cannot handle it. If you get the word out, we're not taking any more people here in New York City. And on the public dole, how can we afford this? We have no space. They're looking for all over the state for rooms, but who's paying for it? We are. So if we send them to Albany, like I think we sent 80 to Albany recently, the capital of New York State, we're still paying in New York City for those 80 people staying in a hotel room. Tell me what this does for the taxpayers of New York City. Tell me the benefit we get out of this.
So what do you think is the solution, Councilman? Because it is so complex on so many levels. What do you see is the end game for this?
Again, it's first stay. You remain in Mexico. That should be going forward, like in the Trump administration. We don't accept anybody coming across our borders illegally, first of all. But while their asylum application is pending, they stay in Mexico. Period. We can't have them in the United States, and they're all over the country now, but they're concentrated in New York City. 70,000 are in New York City, with almost 50,000. Really, it's 45,200 as of last week that we were taking care of in New York City. 45,200 people who are getting fed, clothed, they're getting phones, you name it, they're getting it. And we're paying for it in New York City. We're suckers.
Yeah, why are taxpayers allowing this to continue to happen?
Well, again, I'm a voice, and there's a bunch of us in the city council, Democrats and Republicans, who are saying enough's enough. We can't pay for it. Send them to Washington, D.C., or like I said, the mayor should announce, press conference tomorrow morning, he should announce that we can't take any more migrants in New York City. We're turning the buses around. And that's the only thing. I know it sounds, especially when there's kids involved, it sounds mean, but we can't pay for this. We have no rooms. We really are suffering now. This is going to destroy New York City, and it's going to destroy it very quickly.
Wow. How much longer do you think New York City can sustain it?
Well, again, if the mayor's saying we're fully booked, and we can't, Rita, if they can't work, by the way, for at least 13, 14 months, maybe even 2 years, that means we have to pay for their existence. And by the way, they're in the Row NYC Hotel. It's on 8th Avenue in Manhattan. There's about 1,300 rooms, and they're destroying that hotel. We found out from one of the employees there. He did a video, and what he's claiming is going on there is unbelievable. We have a 10-year-old girl was found in her room alone, drunk, and her parents weren't there. There were also, they say they average about 10 kids a day they find that are left alone in the hotel rooms while their parents are out. They find weapons, they find drugs. They also find, which is very curious, they find all these forged documents in the rooms, forged passports, Social Security cards, you name it, they're finding it, and a lot of drugs. This is one was a moderate priced hotel room in New York City for tourists years past in a theater district that is now turned over into a giant migrant shelter, and you name it, it's going on in that hotel. So it's so demoralizing and depressing here to have this happen to us, and we have to thank President Biden.
When you hear that as a New York City councilman, doesn't it just break your heart and infuriate you?
You can't imagine. I see my town, which was a vibrant town before Mayor de Blasio came in and destroyed it. He unraveled Mayor Giuliani's great work for 8 years, and then Mayor Bloomberg's great work for 12 years. So we had 20 years of really great growth in New York City until Mayor de Blasio came in. And in 8 years, he kind of put the city on a spiral, out of control way here, going downhill. But we can come back, and Mayor Adams is trying, but we're getting to a point where if we keep taking migrants and if we keep having these dangerous people, mentally ill people on our streets and in our subways, running around, attacking people, and the crime going up. People, again, like I said, people are leaving, and it's going to continue to happen. And it will take a long time to recover unless something's done quickly. And I blame our senators. I certainly blame Chuck Schumer and Gillibrand. She's been asleep at the wheel. The governor, Hochul, has been really absent on this. And they left it up to the mayor, Mayor Adams. And I don't know, I'd hate to be Mayor Adams now because he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. But it's really demoralizing. We have so much invested in this city. It's really the number one city, or was the number one city in the United States. But the way we're just being dumped upon here, it's very depressing. I just don't know how we can get out of this unless the president can wake up.
Do you see this president waking up? Because he seems to be making a concerted effort, Councilman, to keep the border open and to keep the flow coming. I mean, it's clear. Everybody says, you could close it up in one day. You could change the policies. Like you said, go back to remain in Mexico, which it was under President Trump. And yet when this president took over, he changed that. This is obviously intentional.
Yeah, and I just don't understand President Biden on this. They could just stop it now. They said no more to New York City, no more migrants coming into the United States. Let's have a moratorium on it. Let's figure this out. So in the meantime, he could say there's a 30-day moratorium on anybody coming in for asylum in the United States. And one thing I proposed is that maybe you leave them at the border, build a complex there. It could be kind of temporary housing. But if you just want to, if they come over the border, if you can't really handle it, or even the ones that already came over, put them in that camp there and look at their asylum applications right then and there. It's the only thing I could come up with. But there's other things that could be done. But the first thing, like I said, a 30-day moratorium, and then have Congress figure out what we should do with asylum seekers. And you have to hire a lot of ICE officials now, police officers, to go over this, because you know how it works. They have to sit with an ICE officer, and sometimes it could take hours for the application to be reviewed. And then they can't work 30 days after, even if their application is approved, it takes 30 more days by law. So this is a situation where we have to stop it. Somebody has to step in. I just can't believe the president. President Biden is certainly asleep at the wheel. I don't even know if he can hear a dinner bell at this point. I think he's just clueless.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Summer tastes like Tic Tac. Tantalize your taste buds this sunny season with citrus adventure and orange. 2 everyday flavors that bring summer in every. Tic Tac Citrus Adventure is a yummy, vibrant medley of lemon, lime, and mandarin. And Tic Tac Orange is the perfect mix of tangy and sweet. Visit us at Tic Tac USA on social to refresh your summer with Tic Tac.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
What do you think about rushing to get work permits? I mean, that's one of the things that they have talked about. I know New York City Mayor Eric Adams has talked about to speed up the process of getting them work. Do you think that's a good idea, or does that incentivize them to be more?
I think it's both. It could be a good idea, but you're right. It could incentivize more people to come, and then but they're coming now. So I think that's why you have to fix the border first. So I say, announce, 30 days, a 90-day moratorium, whatever you announce, say we're not accepting any more people coming over the border. We have to process the people we have here now. And then I would say, if you look at their applications, probably 90%, I'm guessing that at this point, because I don't think anybody knows, but 90% of the people aren't eligible to seek asylum into the United States. If you ask them their predicament at home, it could be that they're coming here. Most of them are coming here to make money, and they know they're going to get free handouts in New York City, certainly. So that's why everybody wants to come here. But we have to come up with a very, very tough stance on this. What is good for the cities of the United States? What is good for the people of the United States? Those are the questions you ask first. What can this person do for us here in the United States? What skills do they have to let them into our country? And it's not just because they just want to make more money. That cannot be. And again, most people are going to invent things. And how do they prove that they seek asylum, that they're in danger in their home country? We cannot be the dumping ground of the world. We can't just have this open door policy. So things are going to have to get really tough. We're going to have to make tough decisions. But I just don't know if the Democrats in Washington, really have the resolve to do this.
Well, and where are even other fellow Democrats, even in New York? I mean, some are crying out, but a lot of them are not crying out. A lot of them are silent. And they certainly don't seem to be putting pressure on the president to change his policy. I hear them asking for more money, but I don't hear them saying plug the border.
Yeah, even if you gave the New York City $4 billion, let's say, to house the migrants, what is that going to do for New York City? It's who's paying for it? It's the taxpayers of New York City or the taxpayers of the United States. It's not really. We're not gaining anything out of this. If they came up with, let's say a WPA program, that might work. But again, it's just you could have a problem with more people trying to come to work in this program. So I just think you have to get tough with the border and just close it, and then remain in Mexico policy that worked, by the way. It worked under President Trump. We should go back to that. And then just get tough with the mayor's got to get tough in New York City saying we can't take any more people, period.
We're talking about some of the places where they're already housed. You brought up the Row Hotel. The other place that they're starting to put and using sort of as a center too as well is the old Lincoln Correctional Facility in Harlem, 8 stories high. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, if you talk to the people in the neighborhood, they're not really happy about this. I wouldn't want this because, again, these are idle men. Some are, I don't know if they're putting families in there, but let's say there's men going in there. They're just going to be standing around. And New York City, by the way, when I visited one of the shelters, there were about 600 men there. They were actually telling the men to go out and try to get work off the books, which is illegal. Nobody benefits except obviously the employer by working off the books. So they're not paying taxes. They're not paying Social Security, obviously. They can be exploited, but the taxpayers of New York City get nothing out of that. Nor does any taxpayer in the United States get anything out of that. And it's also illegal. But this is the only thing left for us to tell them that when they have to stay here, they'll be sitting around for over a year, and many of them will be rejected from their asylum application, and then they'll be shipped back to their country. So this is a terrible situation, but I don't agree with putting any migrants up anymore in New York City, certainly if they're just going to sit around. So I know what the mayor's trying to do. Like you said, he's trying to find, maybe we can put them to work. What do you do? What are the answers? And so far, Washington has not come up with one single answer to this. And throwing billions at it is not going to solve it.
What do you think about Rikers, putting them in Rikers? Take the doors off Rikers and use Rikers.
I mean, again, these are really not solutions. They're just warehousing human beings. Does anybody agree that's a good idea to put them in Rikers and let them just stay there and warehouse people? I think it's a tremendous waste of human resources and people to just put them up in a place and say, here, stay here, and you can't do anything. I would rather just send them back to the border or send them again to Washington, or just say that we can't accept anymore. We can't, the right to shelter does apply to New Yorkers. It doesn't apply to people who are from different countries around the world. So I think the mayor has tried to challenge the right to shelter. That's the law in New York State. But we have to really get to the point where we just reject them. We have no more room. We have no more resources, period.
Yeah, well, we hear the phrase, no more room at the inn.
No more room at the end. And, you can't keep saying that and then just keep taking migrants. And that's what I told the mayor. I said, you just have to at one point say no more. I know he's going to get, you're going to get slammed by the far left on this, or even the left. The left's going to say you're heartless. How could you turn away women and children? But you know what? It's a situation that's going to destroy New York City. If anybody doesn't think that, just go down to the hotels that currently have the migrants staying there. People standing around, sitting around, crime going on around it, drug activity, drinking, you name it, it's going on. And that, how do you destroy New York City? Well, by letting 50,000, 70,000 people come in without skills, without resources, and then you have to pay their ways. You have to pay their food. You have to pay their lodging, clothing, etc.
And how long do you think New York City can sustain this before they really hit a boiling point, or have we already?
I think we're way past that. We're probably 3 or 4 months past that point now, because this is going to take a lot of money. I don't think the federal government is going to give us the money. And like I said, even if they do, what does it do for New York City to have 50,000 people just sitting around? And again, these people many of them can't speak the language. They have no skills. So what do you do with that? How is that helping anyone? How is that helping our society? It is not.
What about also security? That's one thing we haven't even talked about, because how do you vet them? And clearly they are not vetting them. I mean, we see it on the border. We know that there's been about 5 million that have come through since Biden took office. 1 million of those, Councilman, as you probably know, are gotaways. These are ones that we have no idea of who's in the country, not vetted, not checked. You can't basically check anyway, especially because they're coming from foreign countries. What a huge national security risk do you believe this also poses?
And just imagine we're a little over 20 years removed from 9/11, when we were attacked by people we didn't know that they were even in the country. And they, even if they're on the terror watch list, and we've caught a few coming over our southern border, but so many people are getting through who really want to destroy the United States. So it doesn't take that many. What does it take? 8 to bring down buildings and almost destroy the Pentagon? This can happen again. And if any city learned its lesson, it should be New York City. But unfortunately, some of the elected officials in New York City forgot, or were even born, or don't remember 9/11. They don't remember it. They didn't learn the lesson, and we're falling into the same trap. So I suspect, it could even be very sooner than later, but we could be attacked again because of what's happening on the southern border. And then how do you answer to the people of the United States, President Biden, if that happens? And it will happen. There'll be attacks around the United States from people who have come in through the southern border. So not only do we have a porous southern border with migrants coming across, but we also have fentanyl, again, drugs coming through from China, being processed in Mexico, and then coming over, crossing our southern border, coming into the United States and killing over 100,000 people a year. So what does the president need to wake up? What does he need? What does Congress need to wake up and stop this? I mean, the president could stop this tomorrow. He just doesn't want to.
Yeah, and boy, is that putting America at risk. Well, everybody, be sure to subscribe and share to this podcast. Such powerful information. Councilman Robert Holden, thank you for your great service and all you do to keep us safe, and your great dedication to this country and to the city of New York. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.